Just sign here, Betty. It's what's best for everyone. My mother's words still echo in my head 15 years later, the memory as sharp as the pen she thrust into my trembling hands that day. I was 23, naive and desperate to prove my love for my family, especially my sister Rose. My name is Betty, and this is the story of how I became both a surrogate and a mother, though not in the way anyone had planned. Think about Rose's career, my mother pressed, pacing our family's sunlit kitchen. She can't risk losing her modeling contracts. You're the only one who can help. She slid the surrogacy agreement across our marble countertop, her manicured nail tapping impatiently against the signature line. Rose sat beside me, her perfect features arranged in a practiced pout. Please, Betty, you know I've always wanted to be a mother, but the timing isn't right with my career taking off. Just carry the babies for me. That's all I'm asking. I stared at the contract, my stomach churning. But why twins? The fertility specialist recommended single embryo transfer. 2 for 1, Rose chirped, as if ordering coffee. More efficient this way. Besides, I've always wanted twins. My father cleared his throat from his position by the window. Betty, your sister has given you everything. Remember who paid for your medical school? Who supported you through every step? It's time to return the favor. The guilt was suffocating. They were right. Rose had helped fund my education when our parents couldn't afford it. I owed her. With shaking fingers, I signed the papers. The pregnancy was surprisingly easy, but something unexpected happened. With each kick, each heartbeat on the monitor, each ultrasound showing 2 perfect little girls, I felt a connection growing stronger than anything I'd ever known. At 7 months, I sat in my small apartment, hands cradling my swollen belly, when Rose visited with a camera crew. What's this? I asked, watching strangers set up lighting equipment in my living room. Just a small documentary piece, Rose waved dismissively, about surrogacy and my journey to motherhood. The agency thinks it'll be great publicity. My stomach clenched, and not from the baby's movement. You didn't ask me about this. Oh, don't be difficult, Rose snapped. Just sit there and look happy. Talk about how blessed you feel to help your sister. That's when it hit me. The years of manipulation, the constant guilt-tripping, the way Rose had held her financial support over my head. These babies, growing inside me, deserved better than to be props in their aunt's publicity stunt. No, I said quietly. What? I said no. I stood up, one hand protectively over my belly. Get out. All of you. Rose's perfectly plucked eyebrows drew together. Don't be ridiculous. You signed a contract I'm willing to fight in court. My voice grew stronger with each word. These are my babies too. Biologically, legally, I have rights. The aftermath was nuclear. My parents called me selfish, ungrateful, a traitor to the family. Rose threatened lawsuits, though her lawyers later advised against it, something about the contract's validity being questionable. You'll regret this, my mother hissed during our last conversation. You're dead to us, Betty. Dead. I gave birth alone, save for the kind hospital staff. 2 perfect little girls, Ariana and Mary. When I held them for the first time, I knew I'd made the right choice. Their tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and in that moment, I silently promised them something. They would never know manipulation disguised as love. They would never be anyone's props or pawns. My family kept their word. They vanished from my life completely. No cards, no calls, no acknowledgement of the twins' existence. I threw myself into my residency, working double shifts while juggling single motherhood. It was hard, harder than anything I'd ever done. But watching my daughters grow into kind, confident little girls made every sacrifice worth it. I thought I'd closed that chapter of my life forever. I was wrong. 15 years later, fate would prove that some stories refuse to end, and karma has a way of demanding its due. But that day in the hospital, cradling my newborn daughters, I didn't know what was coming. I just knew I was finally free, and that was enough. Mom, you're doing it again, Ariana said, not looking up from her calculus homework. That thing where you stare at your phone instead of eating. I blinked, realizing my breakfast had gone cold. The email from the hospital board was still open on my screen, announcing my promotion to Chief of Pediatric Surgery. After 15 years of grinding, I'd finally reached the summit. Sorry, sweetie. Big news at work. I set my phone down, taking in my kitchen and the two teenagers who filled it with life. Mary was perched on the counter, despite my constant reminders not to, while Ariana sat at the table surrounded by textbooks. Did you finally get that promotion? Mary's eyes lit up. Though identical twins, she and Ariana couldn't be more different. Mary was all spontaneity and creative chaos, while Ariana approached life with methodical precision. Actually, yes, starting next month. Called it, Mary pumped her fist. This calls for celebration. Can we order pizza tonight? On a school night? I raised an eyebrow, but couldn't help smiling. We'll see. Now get off that counter before... My phone buzzed. A text from Evan, my colleague and closest friend at the hospital. Need to talk. ASAP. Your office. Everything okay? Ariana asked, noticing my expression change. Just work stuff. I should head in early. I grabbed my coat, kissing each of them on the head. Remember, Aunt Sarah is picking you up for soccer practice. We're 15, Mom. Mary rolled her eyes. We can take the bus. Humor your overprotective mother, okay? The hospital was already buzzing when I arrived. I spotted Evan pacing outside my office, his usually calm demeanor noticeably rattled. What's wrong? I asked, unlocking the door. He followed me inside, closing the door firmly. You need to sit down for this. Evan, you're scaring me. Your parents are here, in the hospital. They're looking for you. The world tilted sideways. I gripped the edge of my desk, grateful I was already sitting. What? They showed up in administration this morning, asking about you. I overheard because I was dropping off some paperwork. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Betty, there's more. Your sister is with them. Rose? The name felt foreign on my tongue. Why now, after 15 years? They're saying she's sick. Leukemia. Evan's voice softened. From what I gathered, they're looking for a bone marrow donor. A harsh laugh escaped me. Of course. They're not here to reconcile. They need something. You don't have to see them, Evan said firmly. I can have security. Dr. Matthews? My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. There's a couple here insisting they're your parents. They're quite persistent. I met Evan's concerned gaze. Tell them I'm in surgery. Already did. They said they'll wait. My hands trembled as I reached for my coffee cup. 15 years of silence, and now this? The girls didn't even know they had an aunt, let alone grandparents who'd abandoned them. Whatever you decide, Evan said quietly. I've got your back. But Betty? He waited until I looked at him. Don't let them manipulate you. Not again. The irony is, I said, staring at my office wall where photos of the girls hung. I just got the chief position. Everything was finally perfect. It still is. You're not that same person they pushed around. He squeezed my shoulder. You're Dr. Betty Matthews, chief of pediatric surgery, and one hell of a mother. Remember that. My phone buzzed again, a text from Mary. Forgot my history project. Can you bring it by school? It's on the kitchen table. Love you. Looking at my daughter's message, something hardened inside me. These people might have given me life, but they'd lost the right to be part of it long ago. Whatever they wanted, I wouldn't let it hurt my girls. Tell them, I said into the intercom. I'll give them 15 minutes, not a second more. Evan nodded approvingly. Want me to stick around? No, but stay close. I managed a weak smile, just in case I need backup. As I waited for my parents to be shown in, I straightened my white coat and touched the photo of my girls for luck. Whatever storm was coming, I'd weather it. I had to. I was all my daughters had. And this time, I wasn't some naive 23-year-old they could push around. This time, I was ready. They looked older, of course. My mother's hair had gone completely gray, and my father's shoulders stooped in a way I didn't remember. But the entitled way they swept into my office, as if the last 15 years hadn't happened, was exactly the same. Betty, my mother breathed, moving to hug me. I stepped back. Let's keep this professional. I gestured to the chairs across from my desk. 15 minutes. Is that any way to greet your parents? My father's voice carried that familiar note of disapproval. After everything you did? I cut him off. Yes, actually, it is. Why are you here? They exchanged glances. My mother pulled out her phone, showing me a photo. Rose lay in a hospital bed, her once perfect features gaunt and pale. Your sister needs you. She needs your daughters, my father corrected. Rose has acute myeloid leukemia. She's been through 3 rounds of chemo, but nothing's working. The doctors say her best chance is a bone marrow transplant from a close relative. And you waited until now to reach out? I kept my voice steady. How long has she been sick? 6 months, my mother admitted. We tried everything else first, but 6 months. I let that sink in. So I'm still your last resort. Don't be dramatic, my father snapped. This is your sister's life we're talking about. My sister? I stood up, anger finally breaking through. The same sister who manipulated me into being her surrogate because she didn't want to ruin her modeling career? That sister? That's not fair, my mother protested. Rose was at the peak of her career. And now she's at the bottom of her luck, so you remember I exist? I laughed bitterly. Let me guess, you haven't found any other matches in the donor registry? Their silence was answer enough. The girls, my mother finally said. They're 15 now. We'd like to meet them. Absolutely not. They're Rose's daughters. My father's fist hit my desk. They have a right to know their mother. The words hung in the air like poison. I leaned forward, my voice deadly quiet. I am their mother, the only mother they've ever known or needed, and I have a right to know something too. Was Rose really infertile? They froze. My mother's hand flew to her throat, an old tell I remembered from childhood. I want DNA tests, I continued. Before we discuss anything involving my daughters, I want proof of Rose's biological claim to them. That's ridiculous, my father blustered. The surrogacy agreement, the same agreement your lawyers advised Rose not to enforce? I pulled out a document from my desk drawer. I've kept copies of everything, including the fertility clinic paperwork that seemed oddly vague about certain details. Betty, please, my mother's voice cracked. Rose is dying, and I'm sorry about that, truly, but my daughters aren't bargaining chips. I stood up. If you want to pursue this, we do it my way. Full DNA testing, complete medical history, and legal documentation. Otherwise, there's the door. You've become hard, my father said accusingly. No, I've become strong. There's a difference. I checked my watch. Your 15 minutes are up. My assistant will give you my lawyer's contact information. Any future communication goes through her. They stood slowly, my mother wiping tears I wasn't sure were genuine. At the door, she turned back. Do they know anything about us? They know they're loved. That's all they've ever needed to know. After they left, I sank into my chair, hands shaking. Evan appeared minutes later with coffee. That bad? Worse, I told him everything. Am I wrong to demand the DNA tests? No, he said firmly. You're protecting your kids. But Betty? He hesitated. What if the tests show what you suspect, that Rose was never infertile? I stared at the family photo on my desk. Then 15 years of lies come crashing down, and karma finally comes calling. My phone buzzed, a text from Mary. Thanks for bringing my project. Love you tons. Best mom ever. Looking at those words, I knew I'd walk through fire to protect what I'd built. My daughters deserved the truth, whatever it might be. And if that truth burned down the carefully constructed lies my family had built, well, some things needed to burn. I picked up my phone and called my lawyer. It was time to uncover what really happened 15 years ago, no matter the cost. The DNA results arrived on a Tuesday morning, delivered to my office in a sealed envelope. I stared at it for an hour before Evan knocked on my door. You haven't opened it yet, have you? He set down 2 cups of coffee and closed the door. I'm afraid, I admitted, pushing the envelope toward him. You do it. He picked it up, carefully breaking the seal. I watched his eyes scan the document, his expression shifting from neutral to shocked. Betty, he looked up. You're the biological mother. Both eggs were yours. The room spun. Even though I'd suspected it, hearing the confirmation knocked the wind out of me. How? They told me they used Rose's eggs. There's more. Evan flipped through the pages. The fertility clinic included their records. The eggs were harvested from you during what they told you was a preparatory procedure. Rose never underwent any fertility treatments there. She lied. My voice sounded distant to my own ears. They all lied. But why? Money, a voice said from the doorway. We both turned to see Sarah, my closest friend and the girl's godmother, standing there. Sorry, I overheard. But think about it. Wasn't Rose's big modeling contract right after? The memories flooded back. Rose's magazine covers, the luxury car, the beach house, all appearing shortly after I'd signed the surrogacy agreement. The pregnancy would have cost her the contract, I whispered, so she used me instead. And your parents helped her do it, Sarah added, her voice hard. Have you told the girls? Not yet. I don't even know how to start that conversation. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. Rose is getting worse. Have you made a decision about the girls? I need to tell them tonight, I said, looking at my friends, before this gets any more complicated. That evening, I gathered Ariana and Mary in our living room. They must have sensed something was wrong because they didn't even argue about putting their phones away. Mom? Ariana's forehead creased with worry. Are you okay? I need to tell you something about your birth. I took a deep breath. You know I was a surrogate, but there's more to the story. I told them everything, about Rose, the manipulation, the contract. When I got to the DNA results, Mary grabbed her sister's hand. So this aunt we've never met? She's not really our mother at all? Mary's voice trembled. You are? Completely? Yes. I watched their faces carefully. I'm sorry I didn't tell you the whole truth before. I thought I was protecting you. From what? Ariana asked quietly. From feeling unwanted. From knowing your aunt and grandparents chose money and career over you. But you didn't, Mary said fiercely. You chose us. Ariana stood up suddenly, pacing the room. They're back, aren't they? That's why you're telling us now. Yes, your Aunt Rose is sick. They want to test you as potential bone marrow donors. No. Ariana's response was immediate. They abandoned us for 15 years. They don't get to use us now. Ari, I said gently, I'm not asking you to decide anything right now. I just needed you to know the truth. I want to meet them, Mary said suddenly. We all turned to look at her. Not to help. I just want to see the people who thought they could throw us away. Mary! Ariana looked shocked. What? Don't you want to look them in the eye? Tell them what they missed? I watched my daughters, Mary's righteous anger, Ariana's protective instincts, and saw myself in both of them. Strong, resilient, unwilling to be manipulated. Whatever you decide, I said carefully, we do it together. No one pressures you. No one makes you feel guilty. Your bodies, your choice. Like it should have been your choice? Ariana asked softly. The question hit me hard. Yes, exactly like that. My phone buzzed again. Evan this time. Your parents are pushing for a meeting with the girls. What do you want me to tell them? Looking at my daughters, I saw the same strength that had helped me defy my family 15 years ago. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. Mom? Mary's voice pulled me back. We're okay. Really. You're our mother, the only one we need or want. Ariana nodded. And whoever these people are, they'll have to go through you to get to us. I pulled them both into a hug, marveling at how karma had given me the greatest gift of all. 2 daughters who were as fierce and protective of me as I was of them. Now it was time to face my family with the truth. All of it. You've got everything? Evan asked, reviewing the documents spread across my office desk. DNA results, original fertility clinic paperwork, Rose's modeling contracts from that year. Plus the emails I saved between Rose and her agent discussing the pregnancy problem. I tapped the final folder. Found those while cleaning out my old laptop last night. She used my email to communicate with them because she was paranoid about leaks to the press. Careless of her, Sarah commented from her perch on my office couch, almost like she never expected you to stand up for yourself. The intercom buzzed. "Dr. Matthews, your family is here. Show them in." I straightened my lab coat. "You two don't have to stay." "Try making us leave," Sarah replied, while Evan just crossed his arms and leaned against the wall. My parents entered first, followed by Rose in a wheelchair. She looked worse than her photo. Skin pale as paper, designer scarf wrapped around her bare head. A pang of sympathy hit me before I remembered why we were here. "Betty," Rose's voice was weak. "Thank you for seeing us." "Sit," I gestured to the chairs. "We need to talk about the DNA results." "We don't need," my father started, but I cut him off. "Actually, we do, because they show something interesting." I opened the folder. "The twins? They're mine. Biologically mine. Both eggs were harvested from me." The color drained from my mother's face. Rose gripped her wheelchair arms. "That's impossible," my father blustered. The clinic kept excellent records." I pulled out more documents, including the consent forms that were forged with my signature. "Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out?" "Betty, please," Rose wheezed. "I'm dying." "Yes, you are, and I'm sorry about that. But it doesn't change what you did." I turned to my parents. "Did you know about the fake infertility?" My mother's silence was damning. "Of course they knew," Sarah spoke up from the couch. "They probably helped plan it. The timing was too perfect with Rose's contract renewal." $3 million, I said quietly. "That's what the contract was worth, right, Rose? The one you couldn't risk losing by getting pregnant?" "You don't understand," Rose whispered. "My career was everything." "And my daughters were nothing?" I stood up. "You let me believe for 15 years that I was just an incubator. You made me feel guilty for wanting my own children." "We did what was best for the family," my father insisted. "Best for Rose, you mean?" Evan's voice was cold. "Like always." I pulled out one final document. "This is a restraining order. My lawyer filed it this morning. You don't contact me, my daughters, or anyone associated with us." "You can't do this!" My mother shot to her feet. Rose needs to live with her choices." I met my sister's desperate gaze, "just like I've lived with mine." "They're my daughters, too." Rose tried to stand but stumbled. Our father caught her. "No, they're not. Legally, morally, or biologically, they're mine, and they know everything now." "You told them?" My mother's voice rose. "How could you?" "Because, unlike you, I don't build relationships on lies." I pressed the intercom. "Security will escort you out. Any further communication goes through my lawyer." "Betty." Rose reached for my hand. I stepped back. "Please, I'm scared." For a moment, I saw my sister as she used to be, before the modeling, before the lies, the girl who used to read me bedtime stories and braid my hair. But that sister was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. "I hope you find a donor match, Rose. I really do, but it won't be my daughters." Security arrived to escort them out. As they left, my mother turned back. "You'll regret this. When Rose dies," I interrupted. "It will be sad, but my conscience will be clear. Can you say the same?" After they left, Sarah and Evan moved to my side. "You okay?" Evan squeezed my shoulder. "No," I admitted, "but I will be." My phone lit up with a text from Mary. "Mom, Ari, and I made dinner. Well, we ordered pizza. Same thing, right? Love you." Looking at that message, I felt the weight of 15 years lift from my shoulders. The truth was finally out. The lies were exposed. And somewhere in the universe, karma was nodding in approval. "Come on," Sarah grabbed my purse. "Let's get you home to those amazing daughters of yours." Amazing indeed. And completely, undeniably, mine. The next morning, I found Ariana and Mary waiting in the kitchen, still in their pajamas despite it being nearly noon on a Saturday. "We want to meet them," Ariana announced without preamble. "Both of us," Mary added. "We talked about it all night." I set down my coffee mug. "Are you sure? You don't owe them anything." "We know," Ariana said, "but we want to look them in the eye, show them what they threw away." Mary nodded. Plus, I have some choice words for Aunt Rose about using you like that. Mary! I couldn't help but smile. No choice words necessary, but if you're sure about this... We are, they said in unison. 2 hours later, we sat in a private hospital conference room. Evan had arranged it, insisting on neutral ground. He stood by the door like a sentinel while Sarah sat beside me for moral support. When my parents entered with Rose, Mary grabbed my hand under the table. Ariana sat straighter, chin lifted in defiance. Girls, my mother breathed, tears forming. You're so beautiful. We look like our mom, Mary said pointedly. Our real mom. Rose flinched in her wheelchair. She looked even worse than yesterday if that was possible. Please, she whispered. I know I don't deserve your help, but... You're right, Ariana cut in. You don't deserve our help. Do you know what we found last night? Old articles about your modeling career? The interviews where you talked about wanting children someday, while our mom was raising us alone? I was young, Rose protested. Scared of losing everything. So you made our mom lose everything instead? Mary's voice shook with anger. Her family, her support system, everything except us? We were trying to help everyone, my father started. Help everyone? Ariana laughed harshly. You threw Mom away like garbage, treated her like an incubator, and now you want our bone marrow because karma finally caught up with you? The room fell silent. Rose started crying. My mother reached for tissues, and my father looked like he'd been slapped. Girls, I said softly, you don't have to. No, Mom, we do. Mary stood up. Because they need to hear this. We're not their backup plan. We're not their second chance. We're your daughters, the ones you chose to keep and love when everyone else chose money and fame. The doctors say I have weeks, maybe days, Rose sobbed. Please, I'm begging you. Ariana stood too. Then use those days to make peace with your choices, because we've made peace with ours. We choose our mom, the one who was there for every skinned knee, every school play, every midnight fever, the one who worked double shifts to give us everything we needed. We're leaving now, Mary announced. Don't contact us again. Don't try to guilt us. We know who our family is, and it's not you. As my daughters walked out, heads held high, I saw myself in them, the strength I'd found 15 years ago to defy my family and choose love over obligation. Betty, my mother pleaded, talk to them, make them understand. They understand perfectly, I said, standing. They understand that family isn't about DNA or obligation, it's about choice, and they've made theirs. I'm dying, Rose whispered. Your daughters are letting me die. No, Rose, your choices are letting you die, the same choices that killed our relationship 15 years ago. I moved toward the door. I hope you find peace with that. Outside, I found my daughters hugging Evan and Sarah. You okay? I asked, pulling them close. Better than okay, Ariana said. I feel free. Like we finally got to stand up for you, Mary added. The way you stood up for us before we were even born. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. This can't be how our story ends. Looking at my daughters, strong and fierce and compassionate in all the ways that mattered, I knew she was wrong. This wasn't an ending at all. It was a beginning. One without lies, without manipulation, without guilt. Ice cream? I suggested. I think we all earned it. Mom, Mary rolled her eyes. It's not even 2:00. Perfect time for ice cream, Evan chimed in. I know a place. As we walked out of the hospital, I felt lighter than I had in years. Sometimes the hardest choices are the right ones. Sometimes standing your ground means watching others fall. And sometimes karma doesn't need your help at all. 3 days after our confrontation, I was in surgery when Evan appeared in the observation window, gesturing urgently. I finished my final suture before stepping out. Rose coded this morning, he said without preamble. They brought her back, but she's on a ventilator now. I leaned against the wall, letting my surgical cap dangle from my fingers. How long? Days, maybe hours. Your mother's been calling the hospital nonstop. The restraining order is still in place, he assured me. But Betty, she's asking for you, Just you, not the girls. I closed my eyes, remembering the last time Rose had really asked for my help. Look how that turned out. I'll think about it. When I got home that evening, I found the girls in Mary's room, huddled over Mary's laptop. "Mom," Ariana called out, "come look at this." On the screen was an old YouTube video, Rose's last major interview before retiring from modeling. The timestamp showed it was from 14 years ago. "I've always wanted children," Rose was saying, perfectly made up and poised. "But sometimes life has other plans. My sister was kind enough to be our surrogate, but—" She dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "She became unstable, possessive. Sometimes the people you trust the most hurt you the deepest." "Turn it off," I said quietly. "We found dozens of these," Mary's voice shook with anger. "She spent years painting you as the villain. While you were working night shifts to put food on our table, she was telling the world you were unstable." "And now she's dying," Ariana added. "Karma's not just a bitch, it's a precise one." "Language," I said automatically, but my heart wasn't in it. My phone buzzed, a text from Sarah. "Your mother's at my house. Says Rose is asking for forgiveness. What do you want me to do?" "Mom?" Mary touched my arm. "Are you going to see her?" "I don't know." I sank onto Mary's bed. Part of me wants to let her go without giving her the peace she's asking for. "But that's not you," Ariana said softly. "You're not them. You're better." "We'll go with you," Mary offered. "If you want." I looked at my daughters, so wise, so strong, so much better than the family that had thrown them away. "No," I decided. "This is something I need to do alone." Rose's hospital room was dim when I entered. The beeping monitors and whoosh of the ventilator created a rhythm that was all too familiar to me as a doctor. She looked tiny in the bed, nothing like the commanding presence she'd once been. Her eyes fluttered open when I approached. She couldn't speak around the breathing tube, but her hand moved weakly on the blanket. I took it, surprising us both. "I'm here," I said simply. She fumbled for the notepad by her bed. Her handwriting was shaky. "I'm sorry. I know." "The girls?" "Are home. Safe. Loved." I kept my voice neutral. "Which is where they've been for 15 years. Tears rolled down her sunken cheeks as she wrote, "I was wrong. About everything." "Yes, you were. Can't change past. But need you to know I'm proud. Of you. Of them." I felt my own tears starting. "You should be. They're amazing. And they're mine. In every way that matters." "I know." Her hand trembled as she wrote, "You were always stronger. Better. I was jealous." The monitors started beeping faster. A nurse appeared in the doorway, but I waved her off. I knew what was coming. "Rose," I said, leaning close, "I forgive you. Not for you, but for me. I'm letting go of all of it." Her eyes filled with tears as she wrote one last shaky message. "Thank you, little sister." The monitors started screaming 30 minutes later. I stepped back as the code team rushed in, but I knew it was too late. Rose was gone. In the hallway, I found Evan waiting. "The girls?" he asked. "Called Sarah to stay with them." I let him pull me into a hug. "She's gone." "Are you okay?" "No," I admitted, "but I will be." My phone lit up with a text from Mary. "Love you, Mom. Come home soon." Home. To my real family. To the life I'd built from the ashes of betrayal. "Let's go," Evan said gently. "Your daughters are waiting." As we walked out, I realized something. Sometimes forgiveness isn't about the person you're forgiving. Sometimes it's about finally setting yourself free. 6 months after Rose's funeral, I sat in my backyard watching my daughters set up for their 16th birthday party. The autumn air was crisp, and fairy lights twinkled in the growing dusk. "Mom!" Mary called from the patio. "Evan's here with the cake." I smiled, watching him carefully balance an enormous box while navigating through the gate. Over the past months, he'd become a constant presence in our lives, his quiet support evolving into something more. "Need help?" I asked, taking the box. "I've got it," he grinned, stealing a quick kiss. Though I'm still not sure why you let the girls talk you into a sweet 16 party. Because they deserve it, I said simply. Every normal teenage moment they can get. The party was in full swing when Sarah arrived, looking unusually serious. She pulled me aside. "Your parents are at my house again," she said quietly. "They want to give the girls something. From Rose." My chest tightened. "What?" "Letters. She wrote them before, you know. And there's something else. She left the girls her estate." I watched Ariana and Mary laughing with their friends, so carefree and happy. "What do you think?" "I think," Sarah said carefully, "that you've raised two amazing young women who can make their own choices about their past." After the party, when the last guest had left and Evan was helping clean up, I gathered the girls on our old porch swing. "Rose left you something," I said. "Letters, and apparently her estate." They exchanged looks. "What do you want us to do?" Ariana asked. "It's not my decision. You're old enough to choose." "But you're our mom," Mary said firmly. "Your opinion matters." I took a deep breath. "I think sometimes the universe gives us chances, not to change the past, but to make peace with it." The next day, we met my parents at Sarah's house. They looked smaller somehow, grief and time having worn them down. My mother held out 2 envelopes and a legal document. "She wrote these the night before." She trailed off. "And she changed her will that same day." The girls took the letters, but left the will on the table. "We don't want her money," Ariana said firmly. "But," Mary added, "we'll read what she wrote." My father stepped forward. We wanted to say, we were wrong," my mother finished, "about everything. And we're sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix 15 years, I said quietly. "No," she agreed. "But maybe we can try to fix the next 15. The girls looked at me, then at each other. Finally, Ariana spoke. "We have conditions," she said. "First, you acknowledge Mom as our only mother. Always. Second," Mary continued, "you respect our boundaries. No guilt trips, no manipulation. And third," they said together, "you accept that we're a package deal. All or nothing." My parents nodded, tears streaming down my mother's face. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I found the girls in our living room, Rose's letters open between them. "She knew," Mary said softly, "about being wrong, about karma. She wrote that watching us walk away that day made her finally understand what she'd thrown away." "She said she hoped we'd grow up to be like you," Ariana added, "strong enough to stand up for what's right." I pulled them close, breathing in the scent of their shampoo, feeling their hearts beat against mine. "Mom?" Mary's voice was muffled against my shoulder. "Are we doing the right thing? Giving them another chance?" "I think," I said carefully, "that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to move forward carrying lessons instead of bitterness." The doorbell rang. Evan, bringing the leftover cake he'd promised to save. "Your timing is perfect," I called out as he entered. "We're having a moment." "Those seem to be happening a lot lately," he smiled, setting down the cake and joining our group hug. Looking around at my little family, my fierce, loving daughters, the man who'd stood by us through everything, the possibility of reconciliation with my parents, I felt a peace I hadn't known in 15 years. Sometimes karma comes to collect its debts. Sometimes it offers a chance at redemption. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, it gives you exactly what you need. Not the family you were born into, but the family you choose to build. "Who wants cake?" I asked. "Mom," the girls groaned. "It's midnight." "Perfect time for cake," Evan winked. And it was. Perfect timing, perfect moment, perfect life, not despite our scars, but because of them. The end.